POCO is back with another great affordable offering here, especially for those of you out there that really want great performance, a good screen, and you game a lot, because this POCO X6 Pro is powered by the Dimensity 8300 Ultra, and it's a really powerful chipset that's perfect for gamers. The screen, it's 120 Hertz, 6.67 inches, flat AMOLED screen, and it's got a peak brightness, POCO's claim, of 1800 nits, which is quite a lot. Now, the main camera on the rear, this is a 64 megapixel camera with optical image stabilization. We get an 8 megapixel ultra wide and a 2 megapixel macro camera. Selfie cam, that is 16 megapixels. And it does have 67 watt fast charging for that 5000 milliamp hour battery. And as you see in this review here, for gamers out there on a budget, you can't really get any better than this for the performance it offers at a fantastic price point. And this is what we get included in the box. Our charger, this is 67 watts, and it will charge in under an hour. I'll give you the exact time later on in the video. A Type A to Type C cable, and they still do this. They include a TPU case. SIM-tray tool is there too as well. A little bit of paperwork. So this is our quick start guide and warranty card. Under that is important safety information. And this is the case I'll show you that we do get. And it's a TPU style one that is not a clear case, which they often do include, but this gray style one there. And it does have this area that is slightly raised that's going to be protecting the cameras on the back. So the back is rather shiny, as you can see off the phone here. So inside we have a 5000 milliamp hour battery and that 67 watt hypercharging they do call it, which is very good to have with the spec. So this back here is plastic. However, on the front we do have Gorilla Glass version 5 here, which is good to see that they're using that. Now it's a flat AMOLED screen. Hooray, flat screen. I think it's very good to have that. And I'll just show you the fingerprint reader. This is optical and it works really well. I wish the location of it was just a little bit higher than where it is. I find that to be a bit low personally, but you do get used to that, so it's not too bad. So frame around the outside, this feels very dense. To me, it feels like it's an alloy frame around the outside, and we've got metal volume up and down and power buttons. Location of those are very good to get hold of there, and this is a matte finish to it, and it does feel quite good in hand. It's been a little bit slippery too with this, and it does pick up fingerprints. Now, the cameras, it's so weird to see this still in 2024. I think Xiaomi POCO must have bought like 20 million units there of the 2 megapixel camera that you use for macro and that 8 megapixel ultra wide. However, on main camera, this is interesting. It's 64 megapixels. It does have optical image stabilization, and as you'll see later on from my samples, it's okay, but the ultra wide and that macro certainly are the weaknesses with the cameras. So with our screen here, 120 Hertz, it's an AMOLED panel and it's flat, which I just pointed out before that it's very nice to have a flat screen here, I think. And that camera, well, this one is 16 megapixels, capable of 1080p 30 and 60 frames per second. So along the top, we still have an IR blaster here. That's to do with the secondary loudspeaker right here. It comes out the top, the sound microphone for voice calls. And in video, down below here, we've got our loudspeaker, Type-C port that does support USB 2 speeds. There's no video out of this, at least I'm not able to achieve it or get it. It doesn't seem to work. I don't believe it does have it. And this is a SIM tray that takes 2 nano SIMs. So missing straight away, we are not getting a 3.5mm headphone jack. Sadly, that seems to have even disappeared now with these flagship mid-range phones here from POCO. And the micro SD card support is another one there that I would have liked to have seen, but sadly we do not have it. Now the bezels here, they are not too bad. So just bringing up some of my photos, you can see now with the white background, they look pretty good for the price point. Nice small little bezel here at the top, and they're about the same size there. So overall, not bad. Good build quality to the phone here. I can't really criticize that build. I can only really criticize that decision to go with the 2 megapixel and 8 megapixel cameras there. Those backup secondary and third camera. I think they should have just gone with one good ultra wide, one good main camera, if you ask me. So the screen has Gorilla Glass 5 over it, covering it, and I like the fact that it is flat, pointed that out already a few times. So Xiaomi's claim with this particular panel is that it can do and get to a very bright, 1800 nits at peak brightness, 1200 nits in the high brightness mode, but your typical brightness is 500 nits. So that's somewhere I can measure that, close to that 500, about 480 or so, but I haven't been able to measure that 1800 or the 1200 nits. Manufacturers are now doing this. They're playing this little game, I think, of just numbers here with the screen brightnesses. The key thing and the key takeaway here is the screen is very bright. I can make it out in direct sunlight, as you can see now. That's the good thing about it. So no real problems with it. It's very bright. It doesn't seem to dim down very quick. It takes a little while for that to happen. It will dim a little bit, but it does hold that peak brightness for quite some time, which is good there. Now, they claim that the contrast ratio here is 5 million to 1, 100% of DCI-P3 color gamut coverage, and a touch sampling rate of 2160 hertz. So it's very quick to respond to touch. I've not noticed any lags. The UI performance is excellent now with HyperOS. Yes, they're calling it now HyperOS with the global models now too. At first was China, now it's globally, they're going to start calling it that too as well. So ROM performance, really quick. There's a few little changes compared to MIUI, but really it's just aesthetics. Have made some icon changes. One of them that I've noticed is definitely here in the camera when you go into the more options. So they've changed that a little bit. Now we have all of these different icons there instead of before it was a little bit different there. So some minor changes. So essentially, HyperOS is really just like MIUI that we had before. There's very little change to it. It's based off Android 14, which is good. We're not on Android 13 like we do have with some of the other models from them, say like the Redmi Note 13 Pro Plus. And here with Bloatware, there's quite a bit still doing this POCO. So you get a lot of pre-installed games, a lot of pre-installed applications. There are about, well, over 25 what I classify as bloatware apps. Not good to see that, and especially this here. This I don't understand. So system apps. So when you install an APK file, it does its security scan. This is all part of the ROM, or part of HyperOS. It displays then advertisements. So they are making money off this, which I don't understand. We're not leasing the phone. We've outright paid for this hardware for this phone. So why are they making money off us? Even with the themes, if you want to download and install a different theme with the theming system here, then you get that pop up. You get this advertisement. So not good. They've got adverts built into the ROM and a lot of bloatware to start with. The bloatware is not such a big issue because you can fix that. You just remove those apps. But the adverts you're going to see now and then with some system apps. Widevine Level 1 cert, so Netflix, Amazon Prime Video in Full HD. Camera 2 API support level 3, that's the maximum. So you can test out OpenCam, Gcam. If you want to try to improve the quality of, say, the ultra-wide camera, I think would be the only one I want to maybe have a go of trying to improve there. And we do have a SafteyNet pass, which I would expect with a global ROM here. We've got NFC on board, so banking apps, they're going to work. GPay, your Google Pay, that's all working. And this is fantastic. So the best part about this phone really is the performance. We've got UFS 4.0 storage, so flagship spec, top of the line storage speeds here. Look at this, over 4,000 sequential reads and the write to over 3,000, and fantastic random access speeds. Those are just phenomenal. So this here is faster than a PCIe 3.0 SSD M.2 that you'll find in a gaming laptop or Ultrabook. Really is that good. And this too. So this confirms we've got a flagship here. We're getting over 1.3 million. The score in Antutu. The phone does heat up a little bit. It gets a bit warm. There is some throttling that does take place. This is halfway through the test. It did drop off a little bit, the performance. So this is where you may see a discrepancy with some of the scores. So Xiaomi claims it can do 1.4 million. But for me, it's a little bit lower. It depends on the version of the ROM. Ambient temperatures were 25 degrees, got up to 41. And the outside of the frame, I've measured around about 40. It's not an alarming heat when you're gaming, but it does get a little warm. I tried to run a stress test just to confirm the throttling. How much does it throttle? Well, I can't tell you that. Unfortunately, the servers seem to be blocked with this ROM. For some weird reason, I tried a VPN. That still didn't let me download the application to run it. So charge time, 42 minutes to go from 12% to 100. That is excellent. Anything under 100 is very good. And it's a 5,000 milliamp hour battery. And the battery test that I did, this is a fixed, exact same test with the exact same brightness I run in all the phones. over all of my phone reviews. 10 hours and 11 minutes is a great result here, especially considering I ran 120 Hz. What I have noticed is that the Dimensity 8300 Ultra or the ROM's optimization isn't so great for standby battery drain. So overnight, I left the phone in flight mode. I came back and I lost 7%. I don't know what was going on there. It's normally not that bad. With Qualcomm chipsets, it would normally be, say, maybe 3% or 4%. So it seemed to be a little bit of an issue there. Not an issue, but just not fantastic standby battery drain. It's probably just ROM optimization that is needed. Just before I give you a loudspeaker test, there are dual loudspeakers too with this model here. I wanted to talk a little bit about the voice calls. They're fine. There is active noise cancellation. Haptics, you feel the buzz, you hear it a little bit too as well. It's not a strong haptics mode. I wouldn't rate it as being amazing. It's just average with the haptics with this model here too. No problems getting onto 5G. It is a 5G phone, as you see probably everywhere advertised. 4G is working well with me too as well. And no problems there. The speeds seem to be all good. It all checks out, just like these loudspeakers. So they sound good. I think they're all right for this price point, okay? They've got a little bit of bass to them, not a lot. It's just a phone, of course. And there's some, highs are in there, treble, mids, all right. So the sample I'll play you now is non-copyright songs, and it's at 100% volume to give you an idea. So very good volume. This is actually louder than a lot of flagships I've tested out. So they've done a good job with the speakers, especially that loudness. And this for me is the key reason to go for the POCO X6 Pro is the gaming performance. As you saw from the Antutu score, getting 1.3 million, just over. It is excellent, really good. So Genshin Impact, I have this running on the highest settings at 60 frames per second. And in this area of the map, it's running at 60 frames per second too. You occasionally see that when you look around and it's just caching things in. A little bit of a delay, some lag there. Now we have the game turbo. Ooh, I don't want to get out of the game. So you've got to swipe here. And if you put it into the boost there, you'll see that it will just clear the memory. And the frame rate is now saying that it was before 36 and now it's 60, which, I don't think it was that low. It wasn't down to 36. You see a few frame dips. But as a key reason is that gaming performance. It is really good. One of the best out there for this price point, if not the best. And of course you get this fantastic AMOLED screen. It's bright, it's very responsive to touch. It really is to me a gaming phone, the X6 Pro. So POCO's done an excellent job there, delivering such performance at this price point. Over to video now with the POCO X6 Pro. So the front-facing 16 megapixel camera can shoot 1080p 30 and 60 frames per second. We don't get 4K with it. It's using electronic image stabilization. And for 1080p quality, it's not bad at all. It's all right. Audio bitrate is 256 kilobits per second, so that checks out as well. You might hear, however, a bit of wind noise coming through along the coast here. It's normally quite windy, and I found that these microphones are quite sensitive to wind noise. Ultra wide video with this camera, which is 8 megapixels yet again. We're seeing this same 8 megapixel sensor with that 2 megapixel macro. Only allows us to shoot 1080p 30 frames per second. We don't get 1080p 60 with the ultra wide camera. Main 64 megapixel camera has optical image stabilization, and with video it will use electronic image stabilization as well. But we only get 30 frames per second max, even though this chipset I believe can do 4K 60. For some reason we just have 4K 30, which is not too bad considering the price point of this phone and being more affordable with that flagship performance from the chipset we do have. Overcast here at the moment, so the video quality is not going to look its best. We have some storms and rain coming in over the next few days. Looking at the cameras very briefly, so the main camera can take an okay photo. I could sit here and criticize it, but it's all right. So this is here the main camera again. We move over now to 2x digital zoom. Quite susceptible to lens flare. There's a bit of over sharpening going on. Macro shots have a lot of noise to them. Only 2 megapixels. Portraits from the 16 megapixel selfie look all right. Stitching is okay there. This portrait shot, bit of skin smoothing. And if I zoom in now, you can see that the stitching just around the top of my head isn't that great. This is another 2x shot with the main camera. Low light performance, plenty of noise to it. Definitely not flagship level cameras with our rear cameras. And with that front-facing selfie, they're just adequate. POCO, I think, has really delivered on this one. If you are a gamer, you're serious about gaming performance, but you have a more limited budget, well, you can't go wrong with this model here. For its price point, it delivers some fantastic gaming performance. A Genshin Impact, top settings, 60 frames per second setting there, and it's almost at 60 frames per second most of the time, depending on what area of the map you are. A few frame dips here and there, tiny little bit of throttling, but it's not bad. Thermals also very good. Excellent build quality to it, and a fantastic screen that is very bright. You can make it out in direct sunlight, and it has that really good touch response rate of 21 to 60 hertz there. So it responds to touch basically straight away. I don't see any lag in the UI. Very fluid, well optimized. The downsides to this mobile are the ultra-wide camera, the macro camera, not really that good. And I don't like to see advertising built into system apps. I really hope that POCO can address this. I think they should not be doing it at all. After all, you pay for the whole phone. Why are there advertising? Why are there advertisements in the actual ROM? Shouldn't be there. A lot of pre-installed bloatware, which, in 5-10 minutes, you can uninstall all of that and pretty much fix that issue. And the other thing, too, with this mobile here is there's a little bit of a standby drain. It should be a little bit better optimized in that regard. It's probably because it's a new chipset for them, a newer ROM, and it just needs a bit of optimization. So great main camera, can take a decent shot. It's got the optical image stabilization. But all up, for gamers, you really cannot go wrong with this phone at all for its price point, what it does offer. And sad to see no 3.5mm headphone jack or micro SD card support. So that's my review there of the POCO X6 Pro, a phone that offers a great amount of performance for the price point.